It's House of Decline, a very serious show about very serious topics, like the Tennessee Valley Authority and crime and critical race theory and gerontology and forced foreskin removal.
Yeah.
We need more forced foreskin removal. All adults with foreskins need them removed immediately.
Yeah.
It cannot be overstated how toxic foreskins are. Just astonishingly, it's more than smegma. I mean, that's our organization's name. You know, the International Foreskin Removal Association, or IFRA. That's our motto. It's more than smegma. It's more than just smegma, you know, because people think, you know, foreskin's not so bad. We don't have to do the circumcision. You know, we don't have to have a bunch of normal, dry-looking penises. But no, they want their wet, hooded penises, and that's where disease vectors are started. Did you know COVID-19 didn't come from a wet market? Didn't come from a lab leak. Came from a foreskin. Because they do not have our foreskin removal practices in China, and it's a real problem over there. IFRA, the International Foreskin Removal Association, should be the IFFRA, the International Forced Foreskin Removal. It's a bit clunky. Mandatory foreskin removal might be better.
Yeah, it's you want the covenant with God to be upheld, I believe, is the motive, right?
You're right, Abraham. He what got an old-timey scalpel. He just whittled a stick down to a sharp point, and he stuck and poked his foreskin until it was off. He perforated the foreskin until he could rip it off like a cardboard cereal box, like a box top on a cardboard cereal box. And he showed it to God, and God said, "Thy perforated foreskin is pleasing to me, Abraham. Now go fuck your son. Go fuck your son in front of me."
So right now the England team is battling the Italian team in the Euro Cup. And my question is, which team do you think has more circumcised players?
England, for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I was thinking
No
England.
doubt. That's no doubt in my mind.
Definitely think Luke Shaw is, a.k.a. Cut Luke Shaw.
Cut Luke Shaw?
Cut Luke Shaw.
Oh, Cut Luke Shaw. Isn't the English team kind of cool because they're standing in solidarity with Palestine or something like that? Or
I don't know.
I have no idea about
the Italian team, the flag of Italy is closer
to Palestine.
Yeah, right.
So they're more pro-Palestinian. Yeah.
I mean, the Italians have more Syrian refugees. I don't know.
Italians have a delicious-looking flag. It looks like basil and mozzarella and tomato sauce.
Yeah,
all
it's
together,
all their ingredients.
It's all the ingredients. So right there on the flag, you know.
I don't get why the English flag for their soccer team is not like the Union Jack. It's just like a red cross on a white background.
Because that's England. You know, the Union Jack is a composite of all the flags of the United Kingdom, right?
Oh,
it's got you know how the Scottish flag is blue, but it's got like a diagonal cross.
Okay, so that's the
diagonal
UK. So this isn't
cross,
like UK. This is
it's just England. It's just the subdivision of the UK where all the worst people in the UK come from. There, I said it.
Wow.
The Welsh. Let's rank the nations of England.
Welsh
number one.
Welsh is number one.
Welsh is number one. Okay, yeah.
Scottish is number two.
Yeah. Northern Irish.
Number 3.
Steady bronze, and 4 is England, the worst.
4 is England, and then 5 is regular Irish.
they're part of the United Kingdom.
Yeah, but
they don't want to admit it, but they're part of it.
Ranked below English.
Exactly, yeah. They got taken over by the English. How embarrassing is that?
And then 6 is Canada.
Yeah, we are still part of the United Kingdom. We fail to gain independence. We talk a lot of big game. I mean, the Queen is still on our money.
7 is Australia.
Uh-huh. We're just doing all the Commonwealths now?
Yeah, but 0, we forgot to say 0 is America. We're in front of it.
You're right.
Yeah.
It transcends the Commonwealth.
Well, everyone wants England to win, but I don't really want England to win.
Oh, they haven't won it in a while, you know? And, England, they're the perennial underdogs in the world.
I don't think
they just can't catch a break.
I don't think they've ever actually won a Euro Cup at all. They won a World Cup.
Euro Cup. Yeah, but that's better than the Euro Cup, so who cares?
That's an interesting thing. I don't know if it is better or not, because, the World Cup, you have to, the World Cup sometimes is you get an easy bracket and you're like, oh, we're playing like a team where they don't have good nutrition and they have a dictator who forces his son onto the team and is easy we got North Korea. It's not going to be that hard. But the Euro Cup is
that's mean to say. Those North Korean players are brave.
The Euro Cup, it's the real deal, I think. So Euro Cup might be harder.
Yeah, they're all well fed. They're all rich. It's basically, from what I've told, the Euro Cup is the Eurovision of soccer.
Oh. Okay.
Except Israel's not involved for some reason.
I guess Israel does have a World Cup team. I guess they've never won, though.
No. Have you ever seen Jews playing soccer?
Yeah, I have. That's funny. You can do it. They could do it.
No, they were very good at my high school. They were very good Jewish. There's no correlation. I've known some athletic Jewish people in my time. I bet Jeff Goldblum would be good at soccer.
Yeah, maybe I can put it up my ass.
Yeah, and when he goes down, when somebody injures him, he's like, you've hurt me. You've really injured my leg here.
Oh, England and Italy, it's tied up.
Oh, it's tied up.
It's all tied up.
It's goal.
It's all
and
tied
Italy
up.
invented the guy excitedly going, goal.
Bonucci. Bonucci and Verratti and Chiesa.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're doing their Italian chants all over Italy, which is like Seven Nation Army. They love chanting Seven Nation Army for some reason. Ba, 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 ba. And then, just the various millennial whoop chants. They also get whoa, whoa, Azzurri, Azzurri. Did you see the lady dressed as the pizza and the guy dressed as Mario?
What do you mean? Where was that?
There was in Wembley Stadium, where this is being held apparently, there was a lady dressed as a pizza rooting for Italy, and a guy dressed as Mario, and they were looking very disappointed after the first half, after England scored a goal on them.
Yeah, good old cut Luke Shaw, I believe, was the goal scorer.
Cut Luke Shaw.
But now uncut Bonucci.
He's tapping into the smegma powers. He's tapping into his wet little head. And from that, he's gaining mighty foot skills.
Well, the reason I'm against England winning is because of the media coverage that, this is going to be what brings England back together after Brexit fractured the solidarity of England and the UK. And so I don't want that to happen. I want them to continue to be a fractured nation.
This will, I predict the opposite. This will drive England to a chaos of frenzied looting. There's nothing worse than a pleasured Englishman, an Englishman without guilt or remorse. They'll just do whatever they want. You've seen the responses. You've seen the lads getting up. The lads are getting up in the field. Oh, that's Scottish. The lads. Yeah. The lads. Oh, the lads. The Northern England types. Oh, have you seen the lads getting up in Wembley Stadium? They're taking down the pants and they're waving the shafts all around. Oh, gingly gangly gree, they're waving their shafts to and fro. They have the little flag there. They have the white and red cross flag, and they're waving their shafts all over the place to celebrate their football buddies winning. Well, lots of people.
The sad thing is that both Ringo and Paul McCartney have so much dementia that they're not going to realize that England wins if England does win.
So. Paul McCartney right now thinks he actually is in a yellow submarine. He's having a terrible time. It's just like The Father with Anthony Hopkins, but with Paul McCartney.
I didn't see that one.
Leaves.
I didn't see that movie.
It's fucked up, dude. It's good.
What's it about? He's like losing his mind.
It's about a guy with it's an intimate portrayal about a family struggle to keep supporting their father with Alzheimer's, and it's very sympathetic.
To who? The father?
Everyone involved.
To everyone?
Sometimes
break it down.
You can't.
Who's the good guy? Who's the bad guy?
The good guy is humanity. The bad guy is Alzheimer's.
Okay, so Alzheimer's is in terms of like who would Alzheimer's be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
He would be sort of like Killmonger, like he's bad, but you get his point, you know.
Okay.
Black Widow came out.
Oh, great! I cannot wait to see it.
Everyone's favorite character, Black Widow. There's so much characterization in those movies
and
that she has, you know.
What's her deal? My guess is that she kills all of her husbands?
No. Surprising. No, she's just very strong.
Oh. There's no there's no like husband.
She's not a husband. She doesn't eat her husbands, no.
Why is she a widow?
Because it's a spooky spider, and it's a woman.
So she is a Black Widow spider human. So she's like Spider-Man.
She was bitten by a Black Widow spider, and now she has the powers of a Black Widow, so she eats men to gain power. That would be a much better character, actually.
Is there anything related to a spider in it?
She has the same... Her symbol is a sign that a Black Widow has on her back, sort of like a red hourglass shape.
Okay.
You know, she's a Black Widow because she's like a spider. She's like a super spy. She moves like a spider.
But
it's not a literal one-to-one.
There's no real spider involved, though.
She has a jar of Black Widows that she throws at people.
Okay, so it's all like, I enjoy the aesthetic of a Black Widow spider.
Yeah.
It's not actually taking the power. She doesn't have, like, poison that she uses.
No. They should give her some poison.
I feel
Maybe,
like
do Black Widow spiders shoot poison? Probably venom.
Well, they have something when they bite you, you die. I mean, I feel like a superhero and their name should have a tie beyond outfit.
Right. Like Iron Man? Well, his suit's not made of armor anymore. It's made of some weird substance.
Yeah.
He should go back to iron. You know, they should call him Carbonadium Alloy Man. Would sound stupid. You know, Rich guy. I'm rich guy. I'm rich physicist.
I guess Marvel has more superheroes that don't conform to their superhero name.
Like, who's Mr. Fantastic? You know, he should be called Stretch Penis Man, because he could stretch his penis a very long distance.
But so many of them do. It's like Wolverine has got like some kind of claw thing.
Yeah.
Who's another one? Spider-Man's got spider stuff.
There was originally in the creation of Wolverine, he was a potential origin story floated around for him was that he was a mutated Wolverine.
Yeah.
Like they literally injected like human DNA into him, and he turned into a man Wolverine. See, Spider-Man makes sense because he was bitten by a radioactive spider. He does have spider powers. That's a 1-to-1 ratio. Wolverine, you know, he's aggressive and he's small, and that's why he's a Wolverine.
Small. He's small?
He's 5'3". Wolverine canonically is like 5'3".
He's Joe Rogan sized.
Yeah, he's bite sized. Yeah,
that's funny.
But he's scrappy, which is why people balked at the Jackman Wolverine because you know Hugh Jackman, he's huge Jackman. You know, yeah, he's like 6 feet tall, but he's not a small bean. That's huge. Who the next Wolverine they should go out of their way to cast a really small bean.
Yeah. I mean, it could be Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Why not?
He's too old. He can't grow into the role.
Well, yeah, I guess they want a younger guy.
They want a young
probably.
guy. Yeah, get a young Wolverine.
You don't want to make the mistake the Bond people made where they picked the already old guy.
Well, Daniel Craig, they wrung 6 movies out of him or whatever.
I feel like they wanted more and now they can't.
We get a new Bond. Get like a sexy, different type of. Get a lady Bond.
They should get
Get a trans Bond. Everyone would love a trans Bond.
What do you mean, a trans? Like a
like
trans
it's James
actor?
Bond, but trans.
So you got to clarify, is James Bond in the universe of James Bond trans, or they just get a trans man to play James Bond and act like in the movie they're just like, this is James Bond?
No, it could be a trans man or a trans woman. Doesn't matter. Whichever upsets the most Englanders. Okay. Whichever upsets the most people from the UK.
The reason England lost the Euro Cup was at halftime they announced James Bond would be a trans man, but played by a trans woman.
There you go. Philosophy Tube place. Philosophy Tube has a great podcast about James Bond, along with Alice and Devon, two other podcasting people I like. Kill James Bond. It stands in stark contrast to the opinions about James Bond from another weird podcast guy that I like. You know about Lex G?
Nope.
He's an old crank movie reviewer. He's like from Gen X, and he was recommended by a lot of people on film Twitter. And he's really good, Lex G. But the other thing about him is he's also like kind of a loser, and he does a lot of like posting about how much of a loser he is on Twitter, at least until he shit-canned his Twitter a while back. But he like, what drove him insane was the fact that Chris Stuckman, you know Chris Stuckman?
No.
He's this very popular YouTube film critic who just has this. He's like he's got a himbo face, and he has very middle of the road opinions about movies, and he's like we'll go to bat for Marvel cinema. You know, very very normie, excessively normie movie reviewer, big fan base of young people that like him for his looks and justifies their love of pop culture. Very easy to like sell shit through this type of film critic as well, because he'll go to bat for the big corporate movies. Nothing wrong with it. He seems like he's fine, and there's a role for people like him. But Lex G, who's this like 48-year-old guy who's been in Hollywood. He moved to LA when he was like 20 to try and make his rounds in the film industry, and right now he just has like a dead-end job at a production house, and he's like utterly convinced that he knows more about movies than anybody else, and it's fundamentally unfair that he shouldn't have at least as much of a say in film as Chris Stuckman, as himbo Chris Stuckman. And to some degree he's correct, but it's also just like maybe I'll feel this way when I'm older too. Maybe I'll feel this more acutely, like as I've wasted my life. But it's like weird fixating on other people's success that's always going to drive you mad.
I don't think it's a recipe for happiness to want to both be like to want to be like a famous film critic.
Not like a famous, but he just wanted more in his. He wanted more that he didn't get. Like at least being well respected. He's also sort of erratic and weird, but he is kind of he's kind of great. He is kind of a genius. His podcast is incredibly listenable. His takes are very good about movies. He's got lots of unique insights. I highly recommend his podcast, the Lex G Movie Podcast. I don't know if it's gonna air anymore because he seems to have been having a rough go at it lately, but what there is, he does these lightning rounds, these rundowns of like film critics like Spike Lee and Arnold Schwarzenegger, and goes through all their movies and gives takes on them. And he was there too, so he's like this Gen X guy giving these takes on it. So he saw these movies opening day, so he has that insight as well.
Oh, so that counts as being there?
It's his lived experience.
I was there.
He was there. But it's interesting because I think he offered a lot of his movie reviews are informed by his personal experience and personal narrative of it, which like a lot of people leave that out of their movie reviews. And I sort of like that because, it's impossible to divorce your criticism from your personal life. So I like when people sort of go into how they experienced the movie as well as the content of the movie, and what in their life makes them like that.
We need to ban critical film theory from our schools.
Yeah, we should only like movies. Only enjoy movies.
You can't interpret the movie based on the personal experiences of the filmmaker or the actors or anybody involved. It's all based on the movie as it is and nothing about the backgrounds of Tommy Wiseau or anybody should inform.
So you're doing annihilation of the author. Fuck death of the author. There are no authors. Movies just come out of the ether.
Once you create a piece of art, it doesn't matter who the author is. It's not yours anymore. You don't have any control over it. We've invented intellectual property laws that pretend that you do, but once the art is out there, it's out there to be interpreted. That's why I think it should be illegal. Now, I've totally changed. I know I'm on your side now. I think it should be illegal for artists to sign their work.
There you go. Yeah.
No art should be attributed to anyone.
Well, that is something that I do, that I have a philosophy about, even though it's half-baked. But, yeah, whenever I do cartoons, as Steven said, I don't sign them, which is madness, because you want people to be able to find your shit. You want some sense of ownership over it. I have, 2 reasons why I don't do that. One, I feel like, for some reason, it's something that sticks in me. It's totally irrational, but I always feel like signatures upset the aesthetic integrity of a piece of art. It's just you're in the world of the art, and then you're taken out of it by the fact that there's something in the corner, little detail that, this is fake now. This little signature has alerted me to the fact that I'm living in this fantasy world. So there, it's like it ruins the suspension of disbelief of the work in general, in my view. I know this is totally irrational, so you don't have to point it out to me, but I'm telling you why. I'm telling you, the listener, why. And also, for your reason, which is all art is memes. All art is, they can't take ownership. In the same way that a meme escapes you. And to some degree, that's what happened to Matt Fury, the creator of Pepe, right? He created a piece of art, and it got away from him.
Well, yeah, he has retained, to a degree, some ownership and was able to sell a couple NFTs of Pepe for bajillion dollars.
Good for him.
Yeah, good for him. Money's fake.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that's not, you tell that to a poor person, but that's partially why it's so cruel that we have poor people.
Yeah.
Because we're not letting them have this fake thing. No, you can't have my imaginary buckaroos. They're printed by the full faith of the United States government. And they're worth what the government says they're worth, based on some complicated equations that we have with Saudi Arabia and oil. That's why you can't have any. It's too complicated.
It's 6 British guys in the LIBOR room deciding whether or not you get to keep your kidney this summer.
We used to base it on, whoever won the World Cup. That would be a funny way to determine who's the currency of the world is a sports event.
Yeah, it would make the Olympics a lot more necessary. That's for sure.
Maybe we should make sports way more important.
We should.
Sports actually starts determining government stuff and
well, maybe because maybe it could supplant war. Maybe we just have sports instead of wars.
Well, right now, instead of war, what we have now is hacking each other.
Yes.
So instead of doing world wars, we're just every month it's giant ransomware attack. All the meat companies can't access their files, and since they don't know how much to charge for bacon, they've stopped selling the meat.
That's why we should start our own Luddite country in the woods of the Pacific Northwest, where we never will run out of paper. It's all paper-based. Paper society. Call it Paperland.
Yeah. Well, I would love to form a new country. Amestresses.
Amistresses?
Amestresses.
Amestresis?
That's the name of the country.
Amestresis?
What's the name of the country in Full Metal Alchemist? It's Amestris.
I don't remember.
It's Amestris, not Amestresis. I think it's just Amestris.
Amestris. You've been watching FMA?
Amesutorisu. Amesutorisu.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been watching Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Good show.
I am
Good
almost done. I'm in season 5, episode 5. So I'm almost done with it.
Are you feeling like a homunculus?
Yeah, I recommend that show more than Hunter x Hunter.
Yeah, it's that's not controversial. Full Metal Alchemist is often cited as the best anime of all time. Often the one that you recommend to people first if they're wary about anime.
Oh, okay.
And you're like, no, it's actually good.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. It's a tight little plot. Tight little plot you got there. Just a taut little plot. Just, keyed up like a drum. Keyed up like a snare drum.
Well, I was looking to see if there are any video games based on Full Metal Alchemist, and there are.
Lots of them.
But they look all bad.
All of them are bad.
Yeah.
They're like the big mainstream shonen series don't get great games usually for some reason. Like Naruto has a million interchangeable fighters. One Piece has never had a great game. I even have a One Piece game because I'm such a fucking gigantic One Piece idiot. I got the One Piece clone of Dynasty Warriors. It sucks. I don't.
Wow.
And it's fine. I played it to completion because I'm a sucker.
I haven't finished a game in perhaps 31 years.
You don't finish games?
I don't think I've ever finished a game.
I'm not huge. The game that I'm playing right now, that I've been playing for the last 2 weeks, that I've been obsessed with, is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2 for Nintendo Switch. And there's a reason. The primary reason why I'm probably enjoying it so much is pure, unfettered nostalgia.
It's got the same soundtrack.
It has basically all the songs from the original games plus like a bunch more. So I'm finding out about all these great new youth artists because of the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater soundtrack.
Guerrilla Radio is a good song.
Guerrilla Radio is a fucking incredible. No, the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater soundtracks definitely, probably are hugely responsible for my taste in music. Or like other games of that era, like copycat games too, like different other skateboard games, always had just kick-ass soundtracks of licensed music. I think there was a clone of the game called like Skate or something. I don't know what it was called, but on the soundtrack it had Jurassic 5 and Dr. Octagon. That's where I first found out about Dr. Octagon, from the soundtracks of skateboarding games. And no, from Tony Hawk 1, that's where I found out about... I knew Primus from South Park, but I didn't know how good Primus was until I heard Jerry was a race car driver, and you hear that bass riff, and it goes so well with the skateboarding. You're like, and you're like, ooh, I'm 8 years old. What's this? This is funky. This is different.
It is where I first heard Rage Against the Machine.
Guerrilla Radio is very prominently featured. It has the greatest rap rock song of all time in it, the Anthrax Public Enemy Bring the Noise. That song kicks so much fucking ass. I wish all rap rock was that good.
Anthrax in general, though, is not really very good.
No, they're the silliest of the big four thrash bands, and they're the only New Yorkers, which is also funny. They're the... I would also call them the Jewiest of them all. There's this very, Jewish sense of humor in Anthrax. I don't know why I find that. I love a lot of Anthrax. I love Cotton Amash. I love Indians. That's a very funny song. Oh, you're trying to be woke. You're trying to be good, but you're doing it wrong. But that's great. That's what makes it good. Yeah, that's what Cotton Amash, too, is also like about an anti-racist theming. Yeah, they're definitely the most... that's what's so weird about Megadeth is, like, how at odds the lyrics are with Dave Mustaine's actual beliefs. Like, because if you just read the lyrics of Megadeth, it's like they're very anti-war, anti-imperialist, you could say. Like that's pretty much, if you read like Peace Sells, Who's Buying, or what's the Holy Wars, The Punishment Due? Is that the one that opens up Rust in Peace?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but I guess, it's not...
He has an evolution that occurs across the albums. He started off more idealistic and then becomes more cynical as he goes through, I think. But now he's insane.
He's a Christian. He's a theocrat.
I don't. Oh, really? I really haven't kept up at all. He hired like a kind of annoying guitar player, Kiko Loureiro or something.
Loureiro.
And I don't like their sound. The problem with metal these days is the production is really bad. This has even happened to Meshuggah. It's kind of sad. Like the past two Meshuggah albums have been horribly produced, in my opinion. And same thing with Megadeth.
Is it all like tinny and like so compressed that
it's not necessarily tinny. Like the Meshuggah stuff's not tinny at all. It's extremely bass heavy. But the compression there's no dynamics. They have forsaken dynamics completely. So it is all the same volume.
Yeah, the waveform for this is just a gigantic bar.
Just a bar, pretty much.
Yeah.
And
even
that's
the quiet parts.
Like I don't know if that's occurring at the mastering point or before, but the new Megadeth stuff is like that, and it's annoying. You can hear it too. Like there's this band I found out about called the House of Love. That's really good, but their second or third album. It's just like destroyed by the production. It's very disappointing. And it was like in the mid 90s, right when the loudness wars were starting.
The loudness
yeah,
wars.
That's what they're called. It's the loudness wars because
I know.
Every time you bump the dB by 0.5, it was like statistically shown that more people would stay listening to that song. Like a song that's 0.5 dB louder, you'll get people to keep listening more. And so the labels were like, turn up your mixes, everyone. And then like, we got to compete, turn up your mixes. Everyone's turning them up. And then you get no dynamics, and it's very annoying.
Yeah. You do not have the same organic sounds as recordings from the pre-loudness war area.
Yeah, and I use a music player now called Foobar, and I have it set up with like a custom skin. And it's really cool because at the bottom it shows me the waveform of the entire song, any song I've selected, and I can see if it's been mastered poorly.
Would you? I mean, I like whenever I do my shitty recording, like I always push. Even though loudness war influences me, I always push my shit beyond what it sounds like to the point where it's clipping digitally. But even me with my refined tastes, I've been conditioned to think that loud is better. Or, I mean, at least because that's a problem. Because if you mix a song like how it should be mixed, like where the dynamics are very, very, like, I guess the only place where you can really hear that now, and not the only place, but like a place where you can hear that consistently in recorded music is in the recording of classical music. Like, there's no, like, loudness war. Maybe there is. That'd be funny to think about.
I heard somewhere that it was starting to affect classical recordings, but I don't know because I don't really keep up with the current classical recordings.
Yeah, but, I mean, even when I, like, listen to, like, Beethoven's Seventh on YouTube or whatever, the generic recording they have of that, you can, like, barely hear the cellos at the beginning. Because when it gets really intense in the middle, when all the instrumentation comes in, it gets really fucking loud. So almost by virtue of the fact that an orchestral instrumentation is more varied, but that's also, I think the idea of dynamics as being the soul of music is more inherent to classical music as well than pop music.
Let me tell you about something you may not know about that's very crazy, a development that's occurring that they're not really telling people about. and this isn't
no one will tell you this.
Well, no,
this
isn't a conspiracy. But if you've purchased a car in the past 5 years, it's very likely that without your knowledge, there is a setting on that is applying compression and boosting the signal when you speed up.
That's cool. That's awesome.
Like it was in my 2019 Subaru. I had turned that shit off because I don't want anything adding extra compression and boosting the signal, like, unless I want to do that. It's obviously they have it so that your music gets louder when you speed up to compensate for road noise. And like whenever my dad was playing classical music, I was on volume duty, which means he would direct me to turn it up during the quiet parts and then direct me to turn it down. I'm like, got my hand up on the dash, like ready to take orders. Because, yes, that music is very dynamic and has almost no loudness equalization, which you could use a little bit of for cars. But check your car for that setting if you have a more recent car.
Mm-hmm. But, I don't think, philosophically, I think I'm with you. I do lament the lack of dynamics in music now. I do think to some degree the old aestheticians are correct when they say, music, you only have a certain number of vectors, right? And so loud and quiet is one of the big ones. So the fact that you're just totally eschewing that entirely, kind of sad. You've eliminated one of the big options you have as a composer.
I mean, if you can keep that and still be engaged in the loudness war. Like, if the dynamics are explicitly composed into the song, then you still have that. You're it's more, I think, like the mastering, and I mean the fact that I don't think loudness is being used as much in that way in general by composers, like pop composers. And because just also with a distorted guitar, that's already a very non-dynamic signal. It's already a pretty blocky signal compared to other things.
Mm-hmm. I haven't listened to any modern hip hop music. I can't think if it's terribly dynamic or not. I can't think of it if it terribly varies up.
I mean, I was listening to Logic.
That's a weird example of modern. Logic is sort of his own thing, but yeah.
Well, I don't know. I think it might actually be fairly typical of, like, if we want to find a middle of the road rapper, right?
Yeah, but he's sort of like when I think of modern rap music, I'm still to some degree thinking of like SoundCloud rappers who are doing like I'm thinking of guys like Lil Xan, I guess.
I mean, SoundCloud rappers are probably like turning up the volume until it starts to sound bad, and then backing it off slightly.
Because
that's what they do.
A feature of hip hop music has just been insane sub bass for a while as well. Which if you're mixing it as a cloud rapper, will always result in the big amplitudes.
I heard a really interesting rap song. I wish I could remember the name, but I can describe the effect of. When you hear a sub bass in a car that's like not built for it, and so all you really hear is the vibration of the car?
Yeah.
Somehow a producer had captured that sound.
Oh.
And used it as the kick drum. So it gives the feeling, it evoked a feeling in me of seeing one of these cars outfitted with an insane subwoofer that sounds like a piece of plywood, like flapping against the side of a tin roof during a hurricane. That's basically the sound.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
And so it was like a real world aesthetic being used back in like Ouroboros seeing itself. I like really crazy sounding kick drums. I downloaded an early Aphex Twin album, and he uses a lot of very crazy kicks.
Like kicks that are just like the sound effect.
Yeah, like a kick sound it's like a a cat being tortured, like.
Oh, this is a nice percussive sound. Richard D. James is from the West Country, isn't he? So he's like, I'm making my tunes here.
He's from
I'm making
Cornwall.
my samples and I'm making my tunes.
I think it's Cornwall where you're saying?
He's from Cornwall.
Yeah.
It's me, Richard D. James, and I'm having a great time with me samples. Having a great time with me IDM, although I balk at the term IDM.
How do you know this? That's exactly what the Wikipedia says. Have you memorized this Wikipedia?
No, that's I don't know. What do I know?
That's
about
like exactly what it's about. His weird attitude, which you did with your voice, that he lives in Cornwall and that he balks at the term idea.
That's all I know. I mean, I know his music because his music is great, and I've watched a lot of Adam Curtis documentaries. And Adam Curtis loves his Aphex Twin.
Yeah, Aphex Twin was sort of thought of to be like a genius on the level of Mozart by certain 13 and 14-year-olds.
But by you?
No, not by me. I was always a little bit skeptical, but like kind of interested. I don't know, like the whoever was writing for Pitchfork from the year 2002 to or maybe 1999 to 2005.
I mean, sure, you could call him a genius. Like I'm not so married to Mozart that I'm like, oh, he's the fucking greatest genius composer of all time. Like he's not in my top 10 classical boys. I mean, Mozart.
What?
I love a lot of great stuff.
Mozart's not in your top 10 classical boys? List your top 10 classical boys right now.
Okay, let's get it. Okay.
Top 10 classical boys episode.
No, let's do it. Top 10 classical boys. This is perfect. I mean, a lot of them are modern guys, right?
Just burn me with a fiery brand of shame.
You like a lot of these guys, probably, I imagine.
Are you gonna...
A lot of Eastern European guys.
Oh, no. I mean, sure, I don't know. Once you start getting into, like, multiple different kinds of tonalities, I'm a Bach evangelist.
Oh, Bach is on there. He's in my top 10 guys. He comes up in the middle of the list.
You can't be doing more than 12 tones. Just explore the 12 tones we have.
Not a microtonality fan. Not a fan of like mid sharps. Not a fan of like George Crumb, Milton Babbitt.
None of the music that's done it that's used it, I felt has used it in a way that feels compelling enough to continue using it. But maybe that's my problem.
Okay, so my top 10 guys. Let's start off with John Cage, number 1.
Oh, wow. Wait, you mean number 10 or number 1?
Number 1. Okay, I guess I should start from number 10. Spoilers, number 1 is John Cage.
Not even a classical guy. What are you talking about?
He is a classic. He's like considered part of that continuum of Western art music that, worms its way into academies. Okay, so number 10 is Mendelssohn. I say Mendelssohn is like a great straight-ahead composer, wonderful Felix Mendelssohn. He has an interesting biography in that he's a lapsed Jew and that he renounced his Judaism, sort of similar to Karl Marx.
Interestingly, Mendelssohn is also the name of the thoroughbred racehorse who won the 2017 Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf competition.
There you go.
But Felix Mendelssohn, what was his most famous piece? Let's find out.
Probably the one I used for our Eve Bartlow episode, the Hebrides Overture.
Oh, okay. Hebrides?
Hebrides.
Is that an island?
Hebrides. That's islands off the coast of Scotland.
Really?
And Fingal's Cave is anyone could hear. Na 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 na. Everyone's heard that one.
So
he also composed what I think is the most beautiful Christmas carol of all time, Hark the Herald Angels Sing. Wonderful song.
Wait a minute. The most beautiful Christmas carol was written in America in between 1930 and 1950. I'm sure of it. But I just have to think of it. Dean Martin sang it. There's nothing like a pizza on Christmas.
There's nothing like a pizza on Christmas. Oh, there's nothing like a pizza on Christmas. Yeah. Getting sauce all over your presents. Have a mozzarella when you're getting lots of hell from your family after you've unraveled your presents. That's controversial at the time. All right, Mendelssohn.
Okay.
Mendelssohn, number 10. 9, gotta go with my boy Chopin.
Okay, Chopin, the butt of interminable jokes about lists and such, who I assume will come on later. Mr. Liszt.
No, I'm not. Liszt is not coming on later.
Liszt.
You know, because he's sort of associated with Liszt in that they were both Romantic era piano prodigies. They were both like known for their virtuosic piano stylings. But for Chopin hits harder for me. I don't know why. I think because Liszt is. No, I do know why, because Chopin is more gestural and is more emotional, while Liszt is, like, really wants to show off his piano chops.
Yeah.
Liszt is very much more like, much more of an Yngwie Malmsteen to Chopin's Eddie Van Halen.
Oh, yeah? Chopin kind of reminds me of John Mouse a little bit.
He's a reactionary?
He looks like John Mouse, and he dresses like John Mouse.
He
looks like tortured.
Boy. All right. Let's see. Number 8. Got to go with Ligeti. Got to go with Grigory Ligeti.
Oh, you're getting too modern and complicated now.
Oh, everyone can appreciate Ligeti.
Ligeti Split.
Ligeti Split. Yeah, but everyone knows. Everyone likes 2001: A Space Odyssey. Everyone likes Lux Eterna.
That's not true. I don't like that movie, and I haven't seen it.
You don't like dense vocal clusters?
I've put on 2001: A Space Odyssey in my life 2 times and fallen asleep both times.
Well, you don't like 2001: A Space Odyssey?
I fall asleep when I try to watch it.
You don't like 2001?
Listen, I want to watch it, but my brain turns off. It's like, boom. Sorry, Stephen. I can't let you watch that. I'm sorry, Stephen. I'm closing your eyes. That's what happens.
All right, but yeah, Grigory Ligeti, he was, I forget his nationality. I want to say Hungarian, but that's probably wrong. But yeah, his music, he was known for, like, dense choral work, and also, like, I think it's called Ricercata or something like that, but piano pieces that start out, like, deceptively simple, like, or like weird exercises where he'll only use one note, but the rhythmic patterns become repetitious and increasing and until they're very complicated. So, and there's a weird simplicity to them as well, which is very intriguing. I like it a lot. Ligeti, cool guy. And then we're going to get to one of your boy. We're going to get to J.S. Bach now.
Mr. Bach.
Mr. Batch.
Probably the most important one ever.
He is definitely, if this were a list of most influential composers, Bach is number 1, no doubt, in terms of Western art music. Because every bit of harmony, every bit of Western harmony was sort of innovated by him. You can just listen to if you want to hear all of Western music, all of like European derived music in one piece, listen to the Well-Tempered Clavier.
Would you say that Bach is like the Bob Dylan of classical music?
I'd say he's more like the Fats Domino. He's more foundational. He's more utterly I would say like Beethoven is probably, if you were drawing comparisons, Beethoven is probably the Bob Dylan of classical music.
Beethoven is the Bob Dylan of classical music. You heard it here first, folks. I like that a lot. I might get that, put it on my social media. I'll put it out there.
Tattoo it on your chest. Tattoo it on your penis.
Might put it out there. Might put it on my foreskin and then cut off the foreskin and then fly it from the back of an airplane.
There you go.
Stretch it out.
Stretch that until it's flubbing like a windsock in the wind.
Yeah.
just stretch it out my foreskins here.
Well, I'm a big fan of a cantata.
Big fan of a cantata?
Yeah. I read an interesting New Yorker article on one of the early like Renaissance composers, a French guy, and now his name is.
Is it Lully? Lully?
No, we'll have to come back. We'll circle back. I'm gonna do a little searching.
Those early guys are weird. Like man, I'm blanking on all their names, but. Yeah, English. There aren't a ton of English classical composers, famed English classical composers. Like, they're mostly German and French and Italian and Spanish.
Josquin de Prez.
Oh, Joaquin Desprez?
Desprez? Is it Desprez?
Desprez, yeah.
Josquin de Prez.
Okay, there you go.
Josquin with the S is not silent.
I think it's Joaquin.
It's. So, well, one of the interesting things is they're trying to get attribution, and he was French, so it's probably like, I don't know if the S was pronounced or not, but he would sign his name in different ways, and like they have all these different J names that they think are the same guy. So the ability to attribute actual pieces to him is very difficult. Like, they've been whittling it down. It used to be about 100, and now we're down to, like, we only think there's really 30 pieces we have by him that were actually composed by him. Because he was so popular that other composers would just, to get their piece played, would just sign his name so that someone would play it.
That's pretty cool. I'm going to make a song and then say it's a new Kanye song. And then I'm just going to pitch up a soul sample and then go, a lot. Actually, I guess he does gospel now. That's not what that's a joke is from like 10 years old because he was doing that 10 years ago. He's not doing that now. Number 6, Hector Berlioz.
Didn't he have weird political beliefs?
He was, in general, probably has one of the most interesting biographies of any composer because he was an insane person. He like moved to a different country in order to impress a lady. Then she rejected him, and he decided to kill himself with poison, but then got distracted, and then just ended up living in that country for another couple of years. Like, he was just sort of a mercurial, strange dude, always on the brink of poverty. What also makes him interesting is that he is the only well-known classical composer that was a guitarist, which makes his orchestrations more metal.
More bad?
No, they're more bad.
They're worse.
They're worse. They're much worse. No, they're different from his contemporaries because the instinct for like a pianist is to orchestrate in thirds, whereas the instinct for a guitarist is to orchestrate in fifths and fourths because that's how a guitar is arranged.
And you want to do things the lazy way, so as many open chords as possible.
Yeah, well, that's what Berlioz would do. That separated him a lot from his contemporaries was a lot more power chords.
Like, okay, guys, everything is in E. And you're like, the piano player just like, it's like, damn it, why isn't it an A or C?
Well, give me the easy chords. Berlioz. Give me the easy chords.
Okay, well, I know I didn't like Berlioz when I listened to him, but maybe I'm just an idiot.
You don't have to like it. These are just my guys.
Oh, well, I don't have a list ready.
I don't have a list ready. I'm just going off the dome right now.
Okay.
5, Olivier Messiaen. Beautiful thing. Another French impressionist will appear. There's lots of great French impressionists. There's
Don't
Debussy.
People say it's him or Mahler? You choose one or the other. You can't choose both.
Really? I mean, I choose Messiaen for sure because Mahler sucks.
Wow, you just made some enemies. You just made some big enemies. I wouldn't want to be you right now.
Mahler heads.
Hey, man, I just wouldn't want to be you right now. That's all I got to say.
There's a joke in Frasier where, Niles was thinking about divorcing Maris, and he's reminiscing. He doesn't want to do it. And he says, I remember our Saturdays here, me playing Mahler on the piano. Mm-hmm. Frasier says, well, that's great, Niles, but you hate Mahler. Besides Maris, who likes Mahler?
That's funny. Well, I like Maris. I like her.
Sure, yeah. Everyone likes Maris. Everyone is a huge. Who is your favorite Frasier character? Maris.
Yeah.
Messiaen is great. Messiaen was a huge Catholic crank, and in the same way with like a lot of like modernist French guys that were contemporaries. The same with like the film theorist Andre Bazin. A lot of his great moments come out of reconciling his Catholicism with his more avant-garde sensibilities. But in the same way that Andre Bazin saw the image of God in film, you know, he saw, as they say in Waking Life, as weird filmmaker Guy Zahedi says in Waking Life, he sought to capture the holy moment in film, and in the same way, using modernist techniques of sort of understanding God's creation, he could understand God's creation better by using these modernist developments in music. None of which is clearer in, you know, his bird pieces, where he sought to mimic the bird calls that he heard around him, and to great effect too. Like they really, his orchestrations really do end up sounding like bird calls.
Yeah, mimicking animals is a sign of insanity.
You think so?
Yeah, it's
not a sign of appreciating the holy beauty of the world around us.
No, he should have been committed, and pen and paper should have been withheld. Mm-hmm. It's a sign of insanity. A well-ordered society would have no messians.
No messians. Are you messy in your pants right now?
I would have prohibited such music from being disseminated. Number four, we have Bela Bartok. Another modernist guy. There's a modern. I always get these guys confused because there's like a modern banjo player with like also same guy or not same guy.
It's Bela Fleck.
Okay, and that's
you're thinking
different.
Of. The thing with Bela Fleck is, Bela Fleck actually, you know, he spent all his banjo money taking care of his mom, and then he eventually, you know, he started working as a clown business, and you know, he got a gun. And he eventually went on the Robert De Niro show, and that's how Bela Fleck became, you know, the Bela Joker. Because, you know, the character in the Joker is called Arthur Fleck. So, but instead it's Bela Fleck.
That's crazy.
He's
I
the
never
banjo
thought of
Joker.
That. So Arthur Fleck and Bela Fleck and Bela Bartok.
Same guy. All the same guy. This is the Joker. So when you think of it, Bela Bartok is really the Joker of classical music.
Right. I think when I hear Bela Bartok, my first reaction is like, ooh, he had some weird relationships. I bet he had problems in his relationship life.
Actually, no, he was pretty normal. He had like a wife that he stuck to for a while.
Boring.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, why did I have the impression that he was like a freak in the sack?
I don't know. He might have been a freak in the sack, but he was definitely a monogamous guy. He was actually one of the less fuck rowdy composers out there. Sort of like a diminutive nerd with like a sharp sense of humor. That was sort of his thing.
Wow, I got him completely wrong. I'll have to put him on my list to check out because I thought he was like a
Bach was a fuck beast. He had 18. He had like 25 kids.
Hector
Berlioz is more like that. He's sort of that type of guy who had like a crazy fuck.
So the banjo playing adulterer is someone else. All right.
The banjo playing adulterer is that guy from Mumford and Sons. Whoa! No, I don't know if he's an adulterer, but he is an alt-right guy. Not an alt-right guy. He's like, what is he? He's something stupid.
Who is? What? The Mumford guy?
You know, the guy from Mumford, the banjo player from Mumford and Sons is like a right-wing crank. Yeah.
I mean, he was, who knows what he is, but
yeah,
he's no longer the banjo player from Mumford and Sons.
But Bela Bartok, his Concerto for Orchestra is incredibly beautiful.
Oh, he had a cantata.
He did.
Wow.
He had also the problematically named and themed Miraculous Mandarin, but the music of which is very good.
Oh, the one about the fruit or the person?
It's about the Marvel character, the Mandarin.
Oh. There's a Marvel character called the Mandarin?
Yeah, you never, yeah, he was Iron Man's major villain, actually. And in Iron Man 3, Shane Black wrote him to be Ben Kingsley as, like, this foppish actor playing the Mandarin because in the original Iron Man, it was just a racist thing. It was just a Chinese man with a Fu Manchu mustache who had magic rings, and he was Iron Man's enemy. He was the Mandarin.
Yikes.
Well, actually, that's another huge problem of Iron Man 2 is because Iron Man was inherently built to be a symbol of American capitalism, and it was sort of like Stan Lee in his original attempt to build Iron Man. I wanted to see if I could get kids to root for capitalism. And so Mandarin as this, red Chinese-coded villain sort of, well, problematic there. But, they made it work for these modern movies. So Bela Bartok is really good. Sort of this bridge between the world that existed before shit went crazy in the early 20th century with 12-tone composing and other modernist techniques, and sort of the huge expanding idea of what music could be, the fact that you had different instrumentation, the fact that you had synthesizers and sampling now entering works, and the fact that you had different forms of notation and people pushing the boundaries of that. So Bartok sort of represents the apotheosis of the style before that, which still, incorporated techniques gleaned from other modernist guys like Stravinsky, but still very much in the mold of the old orchestra. There aren't so many like weird extended techniques or reliance on different scale modalities in Bartok. It very much still is within the milieu of like Berlioz or Beethoven style orchestra, but just have a little bit of 20th century spice. Little bit of 20th century spice.
Be very careful because the language that you're using is what the critical music theorists used to legitimize jazz back in the 80s. And the Academy has never recovered since.
No, Adorno would be so mad. Adorno would be so pissed off. Jazz music! The devil's jazz music! Adorno turning into the priest from Footloose and hearing jazz music. Number 3, gotta go with Satie. Gotta go with my boy Satie. Incredible. His gymnopédies.
Number 3, Satie.
His sarabans. His nociens. Yeah, and Satie was great. He took modernism, the idea of modernism, in a different route, whereas a lot of his contemporaries were like, how do we make music as complicated as possible? How do we make it sort of upsetting and more difficult for the average listener to get into? How do we make it more academic? Satie took it in, because the other branch of modernism, which becomes minimalism, which is practiced by guys like Philip Glass, John Adams, and which became very popular in movies throughout, guys like Clint Mansell as well. That has its beginnings in guys like Eric Satie, who is making music, one, that anyone could play. The first Gymnopédie is one of the first pieces that you'll learn on piano because it was inherently intended to be an educational piece while simultaneously being a beautiful composition.
Well,
and I really love that idea.
He's not the first to make etudes.
No, he's not the first to make etudes, but he's the first to make the idea that the etude could be the piece as well. The fact that the music is not terribly technically advanced does not hinder the music, which is sort of a punk idea.
Well,
it's a very, in order to be a bit stupid.
I know you say you weren't going to put Mozart on the list, but I think that's something Mozart did.
Oh, yeah. It was absolutely, but even Mozart's simple stuff is like way more complicated than Satie's stuff, which was
Satie's piece like a stone cold idiot can play.
Yeah, a fucking moron rube. A child birthed from the loins of a green jelly beast.
And this is just the stupidest guy in the world can play.
Stupidest guy in the world can play these gymnopédies.
Okay. Cool. Well, that is a feat in itself.
But that's also like the idea that this rejection of as pieces get more complex, you saw this mirrored with punk as well. As rock music got more complex, you saw a rejection of it in punk. As no, it's enough to just have this very simple expression of music. You can create something just as compelling with a limited set of tools. And I think Eric Satie also reflects that in this reaction to music getting more complicated.
Do you really think the reason...
in the opposite direction.
That's always been said, but do you really think music got too complicated in the 60s? And
not complicated, like... Complicated not in terms of like harmonic structure, but in terms of the fact that you have guys like Greg Lake, playing on a rotating disc while like a bunch of fire goes off, and there's like a children's choir, and
What's hard for me to know, like...
bloated might be a better word.
Was that more important? Like, was the pop music really important? Because some pop music, whatever happens now in music... It's not creating a new... Like, we don't have that right now. We don't have any reactions to music forming an entire new genre.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the last reaction, the genre that's a reaction to something. No, but that's because music is like way less prevalent as a director of culture than it was in the 60s. Because music was the primary force of culture in the 60s. It's and in a way that it's just not anymore.
I guess it's like, what is it now? Is this social media or TV?
Yeah, YouTube. Fucking YouTube. Fucking video. Video did kill the radio star. Those bastards were right.
What? Oh, because they didn't even have TV in the 60s. Or did they? Yeah, they got TV in the 60s. They had those Jetsons TVs.
Yeah.
It's funny to me, in the Jetsons, the TVs are still like... They're not too...
They're still CRTs. They're still cathode ray tube TVs.
A huge box TV. They couldn't
They didn't figure out plasma technology. Additionally, okay, so number two. We'll pass that to you. We got Stravinsky, who I alluded to before.
Wow, The Rites of Spring, which is a punk album.
It's a punk band.
Oh, right.
The preternatural emo band started by Guy Picciotto.
They probably had a self-titled album, so I was technically correct.
Rites of Spring had an album called Stravinsky. No, they didn't. But wouldn't have that been cool? Wouldn't have that been a cool reference of them? Yeah. The Rite of Spring used for dinos, using for a big dino scene in Fantasia. That's where you might know it from. Also, the Firebird Suite. Also, what Rite of Spring is known for is starting a riot on its opening day. Good people. Also similar to, the scene in Walk Hard, Dewey Cox, where he's playing this very wan, bland rock music, and people in the audience are throwing up, and they're like, "It's the devil's music!" They're like punching each other. It was sort of that reaction. Although the I get people rioting to Rite of Spring because it gets pretty chunky, gets pretty metal in parts.
It's chunky.
It gets a little chunky in parts. There's that. There's that sequence in it which is used in the Dino Battle in Fantasia, where it has this incredibly dissonant chord that's sort of repeated over this rhythmic pulsing that goes dun 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 dun, and it's like this flat ninth chord over like a sharp nine chord, played simultaneously together. It's like this. No one had ever thought of this tone cluster before Stravinsky. This guy was using clusters like my headaches, let me tell you. And, but that if you want to, have the key to all movie soundtracks, you listen to Stravinsky. Every guy from every movie soundtrack, from Bernard Herrmann to Elmer Bernstein to Danny Elfman, it's all Stravinsky. They're all ripping off Stravinsky. That's sort of where our idea of modern expressive music comes from as well, is Stravinsky, where music becomes not necessarily as melodic or melody becomes less the driving force, but rather gesture. And I think that's a lasting contribution that still informs our idea of modern music, where not just melody, but sound effect as well. Effect and timbre and tone become vectors in what you're allowed to use in composition. And that's like some of the coolest innovations and discoveries of our boy Stravinsky.
He also had a cantata.
There are so many cantatas. Vagina cantata.
I went to music school and I forgot everything. But now we know you're number one, Mr. John Cage, who invented all kinds of things, all kinds of paradigms. Yeah. He was the first guy to be like, what if I ripped up a piece of paper and then sprinkled the pieces, and then that was the score.
Yeah, you're talking about aleatoric music, lucky music. I call it lucky music. Hey, we're going to get lucky here. He would use the I Ching to compose shit like that.
Exactly, yeah.
He was also known for, John Cage wrote the fucking coolest music on the planet, and I can't believe he did it, like, at the time he was alive. It's just, I can't believe he had all those ideas.
At the most normie decade, the 50s.
Yeah. So like, let's say Bartók is the last gasp of the classic orchestral form, and John Cage is the beautiful new paradigm that comes out of it. And I list him as the greatest of all time just because we're still in his world. Like, the milieu of European-derived art music that we call classical music, everything that it is right now is still under the shadow of John Cage and his theories and contributions. There's no way to escape it, and you can't go back. You can't go back to Wagner. You can't go back to Beethoven. You can't go back after you've witnessed. You can't even go back to Bartók after you've witnessed this guy.
Would you say that John Cage is the Bruce Lee of martial arts music?
Yep.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, I would.
Okay.
I agree with that. Agree wholeheartedly with that statement. I don't agree with John Cage's depiction in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood when Quentin Tarantino had Brad Pitt kicking his ass, though.
I hate it when Brad Pitt kicked John Cage's ass.
And then they made out a little because John Cage was super gay. That's actually true. John Cage is also like he has a great biography. He was a gay man. He hooked up with famous modernist dancer Merce Cunningham, and I bet the sex they had was crazy.
Where was John Cage November 22nd, 1963?
Are you saying he assassinated John Kennedy?
I just want to know where he was, that's all.
He was at Dealey Plaza. Oh no! Oh God! Oh God! It all makes sense.
Yeah.
It all makes sense. John Cage used a prepared shotgun. He put a bunch of pipe cleaners in a shotgun and made a funny magic bullet. Modernist shooting techniques.
Yeah, it's a silent bullet.
Yeah. But there was and there was a lot of humor in John Cage's music too, which is what I liked. I think he was once interviewed on like the Steve Allen show, and because he was doing a set piece where he was like doing one of his sound effect songs. I think I want to say it was like an imaginary landscape or something like that. But, something where he'd have like a kettle and then like a bell, and then he would play these sounds in sequence, and that would be the composition. And they ask him, aren't you afraid that someone will laugh at your performance? And John Cage says in his distinctive sort of effeminate voice, well, better they laugh than cry. And, I always thought, oh, that's such a nice thing. For commentators on my top 10 list, did I leave out female composers? Yes. I did not study them. it's cool. So I'm sorry. There are a lot of great female classical composers. There are a lot, especially electronic composers. That's when women, for some reason, are allowed more egalitarian more egalitarian music abilities. That was a bad sentence, but I can immediately think of someone like Delia Derbyshire, who made the Doctor Who theme, or Eliane Radigue, who did the wonderful Trilogie des Morts. And yeah, for some reason, electronic composition seems to be the place that had less gender segregation than regular classical music. I'm trying to think of like the most prominent female classical musician I can think of is Meredith Monk, maybe. Does a lot of choral work, a lot of breath work. Meredith Monk, she has pigtails.
Well, listen, it's your grave that you're digging here.
They made fun of her. They made fun of her on Red Letter Media. It was funny. Red Letter Media did a best of the worst video, and they had unearthed a Meredith Monk video, and they had no idea what they were watching, and their review was, "I hate this."
That's funny. Oh, no. Well, what can you do?
But I mean, also, like, what stretches the bounds? I haven't kept in touch with the world of classical music today. I don't really know what's going on.
They're doing Aphex Twin covers to try to get the youngsters interested. That's what's going on.
It's mostly Kingdom Hearts. They're just playing the Kingdom Hearts soundtrack because it's so popular.
No, okay. So I was listening to NPR, and they were like, "There's this new string quartet that wants you to know they've done an album of Flying Lotus covers."
Yeah. Yeah, I can't stand shit like that. I guess if we're trying to see like a direction of classical music composing, I can think of or like stuff that sort of broached the mainstream that's relatively new. The guy that I can think of is someone like Colin Stetson, the saxophonist. Mm-hmm. He does those like his composition is very indicative of modern of today's classical sort of minimalism. Minimalism is still an ongoing obsession. Repeating patterns, and you hear that reflected a lot.
Yeah, once you find the right pattern, it's like a spell. You're gonna unravel the universe.
Yeah.
Watch out.
Yeah.
Watch out, minimalists. Don't get too into the fractions.
So yeah, those are my top 10 guys. Mendelssohn, Chopin, Ligeti. I forget. J.S. Bach. Number 6 was Messiaen was 5.
Oh.
Who was 6? Who was after Bach? It was Berlioz. Then there was Messiaen. Then there was Bartók. Then there was Satie. Then there was Stravinsky. Then there was John Cage. Good list, Alex.
Well done. I couldn't have named 10 classical composers if I tried, and you didn't. Under my definition, classical stops like at the year 1900.
Okay. Yeah.
Anything past 1900 is modern music, and it's all good. But
I love classical music. I don't think it's not. And I think there's an illusion that classical music is inaccessible, but it's really not. Just go on the YouTubes and look how many views Beethoven's got. Beethoven's got more views than PewDiePie. It's like, that's not true. But
no, that's not true. Yeah, PewDiePie has more views than Beethoven.
Don't you hate living in a world where on YouTube PewDiePie has more views than Beethoven? Tragedy for these
Okay, well, each Beethoven video is like 6 hours long, so to get one view, it's 6 hours of your time.
Should have been more concise.
Yeah, come on, that's Beethoven.
Yeah. I think people would attend more classical concerts if they were only like half an hour long.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. But they're losing money, so they're having to record Flying Lotus. They're having to like work with 90s like a 90s Britpop band that gets back together, gets to have a whole orchestra on stage now because the orchestras are like, we need work.
So what's the orchestra programming? Well, it's 25 days of the music of Kingdom Hearts, and then we have 1 day for Bach, and then 4 days of the music of Super Mario.
Every other month, we go to it's pretty rundown. It's a drive-in movie theater, and we play the Star Wars music just to a blank screen. And we don't have the rights to play Star Wars, but we can play the Star Wars music, and people come and they watch Star Wars on their phone. Yep, and we get paid in hot dogs.
Mm-hmm. Man, that's a great orchestra.
Yeah.
What do you have health and dental? Yes, but that's also hot dogs. You have to pay your hot dog premium.
We're calling this your healthcare plan, but it's really a hot dog.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't really like classical. I'm no scholar or anything. I'm just a dilettante. But I've given you my dilettante's 10.
Wow.
Dilettante's 10.
Well, my list has Mozart on it, and he's up there.
He's up there. He's great. I mean, not today. I mean, my list left off a lot of greats. Left off Beethoven, Wagner, Mozart, Haydn.
Tchaikovsky,
Debussy,
Tchaikovsky's
leave off Ravel.
Tchaikovsky's
great.
He's the last classical composer.
He was also gay.
Well, you got to if you do a list, it's got to be all gay composers.
All gays, all the gay ones. Yes, okay. John Cage, Tchaikovsky.
Probably
sure.
Mozart was very straight.
Mozart was a poon hound, famed poon hound Mozart. Famed pussy eater Mozart.
Wow.
Famed gay pussy eater Mozart. That was his nickname in 18th century Salzburg was Wolfgang the gay pussy eater Mozart.
Wow. He was a badass. So.
He was. He died. I left off Schubert. Schubert's incredible. Everyone should listen to Schubert.
Isn't there a lady Schubert?
I don't know. No, you're thinking of Schumann.
Clara.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Clara Schumann is probably the most prominent. Female.
I know I played
composer.
a lot of Schumann piano, like duets, when I was taking piano.
Schumann is super dry. It's very dry music, but it's great. It's fantasy Stücke is very cool. It's very cool, fantasy Stücke. We like it a lot. There were a lot of German composers that we drew from in our pursuit to get the best funky beats out there. Schumann, Schubert. There are a lot of guys, a lot of Bavarian guys.
Back when the world was dominated by European culture, and now everyone in America are like vaguely aware there's a soccer thing happening.
Yeah,
looks like
Shakira's releasing a song "Waka Waka" this time for Europe.
All right, so they're going to penalty shootouts.
Oh my! Right, bruv. They're going into penalty shootouts right now. Should we extend the episode until they're finished with penalty shootouts? And release this after everyone knows the result, but we're calling it live right now.
Just judging by how many minutes we have left, that'll probably happen anyway.
Okay, hell yeah. What's happening? Who's shooting
I don't know.
out?
I'm not watching.
Is it Fabrizio from the Italian team? I'm just going to make up. There's Bruv Grumbly from the England team. There's Guna Basher.
I don't know.
Basher.
It's really up in the air, so hopefully now is the time. Calling all streakers. This is the time to shine. Disrupt the Italians by streaking onto the field. Do it now for your country.
Show them your cut foreskins, and they will be amazed at the dryness of your heads.
When a streak, like the referee actually has 4 kinds of flags. When there's a streaker, he throws the foreskin flag.
He throws the foreskin flag, which was, as we alluded to early in the episode, made out of a stressed out foreskin.
And of course, with football, we call it soccer here. Actually, all the flags used to be foreskins that they would cut off. They would steal from Jewish people. Very anti-Semitic when soccer was
extremely
created.
anti-Semitic history of. Name one Jewish soccer player. You can't.
It's a very anti-Semitic sport. And right now...
Actually, Ronaldo used to be called Ronaldo Steen, but they made his family change it at Brazil's Ellis Island.
It's two of the most prominently anti-Semitic countries competing. So whoever wins, we lose. It's my message.
I don't think of Italy as very prominently anti-Semitic.
Of course they are. They're one of the most.
Every country is anti-Semitic.
No, they're
French
one of
more anti-Semitic.
No. The Italians.
Les Juifs.
Nope. Juifs. It's the Italians.
Scamenge, le Semitisme. Semitisme. England, they don't hate the Jews as much as they hate trans people. That's their thing now, is they hate trans people.
Yeah, well, their leader, J.K. Rowling, forced them to.
Yeah.
They've got this kind of authoritarian type deal, and
it is really, you really can blame her. You absolutely can very much blame her in a large part for the increasing turfery of the UK.
Oh yeah, I burned my Harry Potter books.
It's very funny when I was talking about J.K. Rowling to my dad, because J.K. Rowling had hated. My dad had hated Harry Potter because he still has this lapsed Catholic sensibility towards magic and the devil and witches. I don't like it. It makes me uncomfortable. And so now I'm coming to him 20 years later, and he's like, well, look now who wants to burn the J.K. Rowling books.
Wow. So he owned you right there.
Yeah, he owned me. He got me good.
Classic dads just holding out a grudge.
Did you? I guess I was into Harry Potter. I definitely devoured the books and wanted to get them as soon as possible when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But even up to Deathly Hallows, which I think came out when I was, 16 or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, my Harry Potter fandom peaked at the one before the last one.
Half-Blood Prince, the one where Dumbledore dies, spoiler.
Yeah. And that was when it started to wane after that. After the 4chan campaign to spoil that Dumbledore died, and it was spoiled for me by 4chan, which is very funny.
That's a very classic experience from that era. I was there, man. I had Harry Potter spoiled to me by B.
Do you remember they were driving around in cars and they were throwing books at people and screaming Dumbledore dies?
Oh, man. I wish 4chan was still that. I wish it had stayed that.
They are. I mean, they're ruining people's lives all over. I sent you a link to the letter left by this maintainer, the software maintainer, being 4chan has bullied me out of my job. I'm quitting. I'm scared for my life, and I'm moving.
That's not as funny as spoiling Harry Potter for people,
right,
or Habbo Hotel, or protesting Scientology.
It's not really as good or funny.
Or any of the old 2005 4chan when it was just anime weirdos.
But they're still at it, that's what I mean to say.
Yeah. They're still harassing people, but this time it's much more intense.
Yeah, I think the guy said someone came to his house and stabbed him, someone from 4chan came to his house. The man
from 4chan.
And so there's some people are like, "Are you sure? Are you sure it was 4chan?" He's like,
it's
"Yeah,
crazy
it was 4chan."
To me. There are still 4chan users, and it's not thriving, but it's still a pretty big community.
Yeah, it used to be one of the top 10 most used websites.
Yeah. It bankrupted poor Moot. Poor Moot.
Well, it emotionally bankrupted him.
Yeah. I feel bad for that guy. He didn't really get anything out of that.
I don't feel bad for him. He got a job at Google.
Why is he bad?
He got a job at Google out of it.
That's fine. Yeah, is he is it a made-up job where he's some sort of technology guru or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, he knows what he's doing. I don't think it's that made up.
Okay.
Google's a huge company, and he was a systems administrator, chief guy for a long time on one of the most used websites in the world, so he knows a thing or two.
Oh, 4chan. Remember the Oh Really owl?
Yeah. Wow.
I miss that owl.
Not even
Remember Long Cat?
Why even not even that funny, you know?
No. No, but if I don't know. I'm thinking about it.
Thinking about that owl, man.
I'm thinking about that owl. He went, "Oh, really?" And he was smiling. He was saucy. He was no. The best ancient 4chan meme is absolutely centipedes in my vagina. Mm-hmm. I still repeat to myself on a daily basis. Centipedes in my vagina. They were funny back then. Then it got too real.
Oh man, Italy is a kick away from victory.
The Azzurri.
Donamura guesses correctly. Bernardeschi slams one straight down the middle. Fans are poised to riot.
Oh my God, there are going to be so many people jacking off in Italy. Just so many Italians going, jacking off their uncut dicks.
You think that's really what's going on in Italy? No.
Yeah.
Grandma's making a pizza.
You're right, making a pizza pie.
The niños are out there causing trouble, shooting people. You know what they do in Italy? When I visited Naples, everybody has an electric scooter now. They all have electric scooters that are silent. And they're sneaking up on tourists and stealing their shit.
It's very funny.
It's crazy.
Drive-by purse snatchings. Mm-hmm. That's very funny.
You got to wear your purse across your neck. You can't wear it leaving hanging on just one shoulder. You will get that snatched by a 6-year-old Italian on the back of his 13-year-old brother's electric scooter that makes no sound.
They should remake Bicycle Thieves, but it should be Electric Scooter Thieves this time. And it's a shocking neo-realist take where a wide-eyed Italian child goes up to his father and goes, "Papa, Papa."
England is still alive.
Oh no! The worst country. Who are we? We're rooting for Italy, right? Because
I think Italians have won.